I wanted to make sure this was accurate before we talked about it. I wanted all the details I could find on this. NCAA starts their new playoff format this year. Did they get it right this time, or are there still some kinks to work out with this?
I mean, I think we have to see how it works out, but I think they got it right. I think 12 is a good number. I think 12 is a really good number because you allow the Power 4 champions in, you allow a group of 5 team in, you allow teams that had 10 wins in. At the end of the day, people want to say, oh, like the playoff dilutes the regular season. Well, here's the thing. In the FCS, we have 24 teams make the playoffs, so no one complains about that. At the end of the day, 12 teams make it out of like 130.
Yeah, it's 131 right now.
Yeah, that's still like what, 7% of the teams making it. You can't say it dilutes. Even if you want to say, okay, well, for the Power 4, there's like 80, whatever, it's like 80 teams in the Power 4, 11 of them make it. That's still like 12 or 13%.
Right.
You can't see it dilutes the field. This is not like the NBA or the NHL. This is not like we're letting 50% of the teams in the playoff. This is,
right.
We're still letting the best of the best in there. This is just that one bad loss can't destroy it. Like, can we really say, like, obviously Georgia didn't deserve to make the playoff last year, but can we really say that they weren't like in consideration to be a top 4 team? Like Florida State last year. I mean, I know they were undefeated and they were like injury, QB injury and everything. And like at the time they went up, but if you go undefeated and you're in a power conference, can you really say you don't deserve to be in the playoff? But then again, I have no problem leaving them out because of the 4 that made it. So I think 12 is a solid number. I have no problem with 12.
Now, how this is going to work is the top 4 get a bye. Now, do you foresee those top 4 always being the Power 4 champions?
Barring anything crazy, it would have to take something like a Cincinnati situation. It would have to be something like Cincinnati. I think you have to win your conference to do it too.
Yeah, it has to.
So Notre Dame can't do it. Notre Dame can't ever host.
The highest ranked group of 5 champion gets the 5th auto bid.
Right. But the top 4, you can't get a bye if like Notre Dame can't ever get a bye under this system.
Right. I mean, so if Arizona wins the Big 12, they're automatically in, and let's say Michigan wins the Big 10, they're automatically in.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have someone like, I'll just throw a group of 5 out there, someone like UConn that happens to have a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I think that's your
and they win their and they win their conference, and they're the highest ranked group of 5. They're automatically in, but maybe they're not above one of the Power 4.
Right. I think what's going to happen is that you could still see a group of 5 team hosting or getting a bye, I should say, getting a bye.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is because you sometimes get these fluke results in the conference championship. You sometimes get these teams where they win it with a 9-4 season, a 9-3 season. If you have a team like a Boise State or a team in the American, if you have a team like that goes undefeated, and you have a 9-3 ACC champion who is second and then wins, like I think a group of 5 team could still do it. It's not likely, but I think once every 5 years we will see a group of 5 team being a top 4 team.
Yeah. So the first week, obviously, those 4 get a bye. 5 host, and then it's standard tournament style seeding.
Yep.
5 host 12, 6 host 11, 7 host 10, and 8 host 9. But they don't reseed after that round. Does that make sense to you, or is that kind of a cop out to allow the Big 4 to kind of run ramshot over these teams that have to play to get in?
I actually think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. No other college sport reseeds. Like March Madness doesn't reseed.
Right.
The super regionals in baseball don't reseed. I think part of the appeal of why people like March Madness is because you can fill out a bracket. If there was reseeding in March Madness, ratings would go down by 50%.
Right, because because you're filling a bracket every week.
Yeah, the brackets would be destroyed. The brackets, matchups would not be even possible to have happen. So I get why they're doing it like that. I have no problem with that.
Right. I think the one that I think where it kind of is a little shady is 4 could end up hosting 5, but 1 could end up hosting 9 instead of 8.
Yeah.
I mean, that, or 4 could end up hosting 12 and
yeah.
1 could host 8. You know, that's
I also kind of get for college because like in the NFL they reseed, but you know all the teams in the NFL.
Right.
College, like if you had to scout like 10 different teams as like a top 4 team, you don't really have an advantage because they all play different styles, they all play different conferences. You don't like know them that well. Like NFL, you know all the teams. You have film of all the teams. Like you don't really have that in college to some extent.
Right. And those first 2 rounds are at the they're actually hosted by the top team. So they're not bowl games. They're not going to be bowl games or anything like that.
I thought they were. Wait, I thought week 2 was, because I think the New Year's 6 are going to be the games, and 4 of them are going to be 4 or 5.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be because the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl will always be quarterfinals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be the New Year's 6 games. They'll alternate. So 4 of them will be quarterfinals. 2 of them will be semifinals.
Yeah, I wrote it down wrong. Yeah, you're correct.
And I think it's good. I think Rose and Sugar will always be January 1st, and then they'll like alternate every other year between Fiesta, Orange, Cotton, and Peach for the semifinal and the quarterfinal.
How upset would you be to see, say, Texas and Oklahoma end up in the Cotton Bowl this year? If they both survive the SEC's first year.
I have no problem with that. I don't hate Texas. I don't hate Oklahoma. I hate like half the other teams in the SEC more. Like bring it on. Oh, Florida's not doing anything this year, so like you know what? Screw it, bring it on.
I think it would make a lot of Big 12 fans unhappy.
Oh yeah.
And then we got the 4 of the 6 bowl game, New Year's bowl games, hosting the quarterfinals, and then semifinals are the next 2, are the remaining 2. That one's going to be interesting because that one does say, from how it's written, it's 1, 8, or 9, depending on who wins, would host 4, 5 would be the home team, and 4, 5, or 12 and 12 respectively are the away team. Could this potentially end up in someone that shouldn't be there on paper making it to the semifinals and winning it?
I mean, I don't know about that.
Like say a TCU?
I don't know about that just because it's not like March Madness where there's a committee and they can let teams in with like 18 and 16 records. You're not getting in unless you have at least 9 wins. You're not getting in. Probably not even unless you have 10 wins. You're probably not getting in unless you win your conference.
You're going to be a legitimate contender unless somehow you squeaked by in your championship game.
Pretty much, yeah.
So we could see another TCU incident, but very unlikely now with the way this is going to be set up.
Very unlikely, yeah.
And then neutral site rotation, don't know where it's going to be each year type championship game. Is this obviously, this format was talked about for several years, implements this year. And like I asked at the beginning, could they have done anything different, or is 12 kind of the magic number right now?
I mean, they could go 14. I don't really want to go 16 unless you allow multiple group of 5 teams in. If you allow 2 group of 5 teams in, I have no problem with that. But for what it is, like I'll take this expanded playoff. It's been a long time coming. I know, like people say,
I feel that 16 you let all conference champions in.
Yeah. Or at minimum, well, yeah, now with
That'd be 9. I mean, that's one over half, which is what you got right now.
right. Yeah, because now there's fewer conferences. Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
like back in the day when people were talking about 16, there were like 11 conferences. I'm like, I don't know about that.
yeah,
But
it's
now with
like,
9, you can do it. Yeah.
yeah, because some obviously we had the pack fold, and you know, thankfully the pack, most of the pack went to the Big 12.
Mhm.
We know some that didn't, but I think the Big 12 and the pack merging was what we've been talking about that for like 3 years now, right?
Been a long time coming. Been a long time coming for a lot of those schools to leave the Pac-12.
But it's the reverse of what everyone was talking about when Texas and Oklahoma announced they would be leaving. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Big 12 needs to go to the pack,"
Mhm.
and now it's the pack went to the Big 12.
Yeah, Oklahoma, like the Big 12 saved itself. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how the Big 12, I mean, you talk about great leadership. The Big 12 is saving itself when they were the conference that was going to get obliterated a decade ago to now being the clear cut number 3 conference that
Yeah,
is stable.
it's funny because every time they elect a new commissioner, it's turmoil when that commissioner takes control, and all 3 of them have righted the ship every time, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's have some stability for 10 years now.
Yeah, I think conference realignment will be done at least for a while. Maybe not with the ACC, but in terms of like the Big 12, in terms of losing teams, I don't think the Big 12 is losing anyone anytime soon. I think the Big 12, they don't have to worry about that.
Right. Do you see a point where we have maybe 3 super conferences?
Um, I mean, wouldn't shock me with the way the ACC is going right now. Wouldn't
ACC
shock
kinda
me.
split between the SEC and Big 10, you think?
Yeah, or even like the Big 12 too. They could split between a bunch of things. Like Louisville will probably be Big
Big
12.
12, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of where I see things going in the next 10, 15 years, but,
Mhm.
stranger things have happened.